is available to establish those premises. So in logic, the implication is that arguments yield only probability. If they only yield probability, then the act of believing something, or the act of judging something to be true, or judging something to be morally good or bad, takes an act of will, not just intellect. And so belief is seen as an act of will. Moral judgment is an act of will. A truth judgment is an act of will. The weak be responsible. The act of will. Now, the implications then flow from logic into epistemology. Abstraction of sorts is possible, yes, most definitely, but it is aided by the intentionality of reference to particulars, aided by that direct mental act of external reference, in which we assent to something or deny it, aided also by divine illumination. And Scotus draws more explicitly on the Aristotelian tradition that emphasizes the way in which the divine light enlightens the mind in its understanding of truth. But perhaps the more far-reaching implication comes in ethics. If the creation is contingent in what it is, on the will of God, rather than being logically necessary as it is, that is going to have an effect on natural law ethics. Because the natural law ethic is saying that by virtue of the essential nature of things as they are a necessity, by virtue of form, universal, there is a common inbred, common built-in tendency, inclination, direction, which can be read from the nature of things, indicating the natural moral law. And we were talking about that at the end of the hour. So if Scotus is correct, that kind of natural law is, well, let's say, just a prima facie obligation. Because if the creation is contingent on the will of God, then God might, as things change, will something different. And so Scotus allows for possible changes in the nature of moral law. He takes, for instance, as an example, the Ten Commandments, which Thomas has seen as an example of natural moral law, which is simply repromulgated in divine law given in Scripture. And incidentally, that way of seeing the Decalogue is very common. It's true of Thomas, it's true of Scotus, it's true of John Calvin, it's true of Martin Luther. An adumbrated notion of natural moral law, even. The Decalogue is seen as representative of that natural moral law. But according to Scotus, the first three commandments, thou shalt have no other gods before thee, not make graven images, bow down, worship them, not take the Lord's name in vain. Those first three commandments have to do with our relationship to God, who is unchanging. And because God is unchanging, those first three commandments are unchanging. But the last 7 commandments are about relationship to created things, created beings, other humans, in changing situations involving changing particular things. So it is conceivable, he says, that those commandments might change in the course of history or in particular cases. Why, for instance, in the Old Testament did God seem to allow the will? Why could he ask Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac? How could he tell Hosea to marry a harlot? And so what Scotus comes out with is not saying that it's all upright, but saying basically our ethic depends on divine will, divine command. It doesn't depend on the nature of things, because the nature of things is not necessary. It depends on divine command. And so here's a clear case of what nowadays we call divine command theory, as to the grounds of an ethic, the divine command. But insofar as the divine command leaves us with no change given to the natural law, 10 commandments, that holds. That holds. And if we're dealing with matter in which the natural law or the divine commands are both silent, then, says Scotus, we have to appeal to right reason. Right reason. The right reason tends to be prudential. That is to say, weighing the consequences of actions and policies. And while he doesn't develop that at great length, it's that which becomes the cue for William of Ockham, Martin Luther, Thomas Hobbes, and on the influence of the nominalism of the late part of the Middle Ages on modern times. So Scotus then is modifying the Thomistic modification of Aristotle to avoid deterministic implications concerning God, concerning human nature, and the resultant unchanging necessity of the creation of natural law. Well, okay, let me pause there. Question?
In the harness for generation tag instead of before matter privation, then sort of is representing privation.
Yeah, I don't know the passage where he talks about that. The same thing in Aquinas. The 3 things needed for generation are matter, which is privation, and which is focus. Matter, form, and privation. Yeah, still in state of focus, of course. Those 3 things are necessary. Is he denying some of this? Is that a question?
Yeah, he didn't actually talk about privation.
No, he talks about matter and form and hyperitas, but I think in terms of the overall picture, he has to say privation. If you're talking of any process of becoming, any process of change, then what is going to change has to be suffering from privation in regards to that to which it is changing. Oh, you can mention?
Yeah, so maybe just a bit.
Yeah, is this tautological, so that it's building that image. And so it's sort of rapidly emphasizing this idea.
What was going to say about the nature of evil then? There's no, since that kind of rules out that some beings are less, by virtue of the fact that they have less beings more.
Yeah, I'm not sure it changes that much. You see, to say that evil is privation of good, it's still not, it's not going to be privation of being, you see, because it is related. But it's going to be privation of good, perhaps privation of form, yeah? Perhaps privation of the intended idea that they're not the man you follow. But it's still be privation.
Where does that idea myself create that language?
Yes.
So that individual
Yes. Yes. God has direct knowledge of every particular and directly creates every particular individual. This is God.
How does that create
Has he created an evil being? Or has he created beings who now suffer from privation? And I take it, in your mind, one mind over, well, yeah, after all, Adam created so and so. Yeah. So I think he handles this pretty well. To this day, I think it's fair to say that people in the Dominican tradition, Jesuits and so forth, tend to favour Aquinas, clearly. In the Franciscan tradition, tend to favour Scotus. It's more of the old stick. And so if you want to see the philosophical difference between those two Catholic orders, then it's really Thomas and Scotus. Though today has to be said that 692 lots changed there too.
I'm interested in this picture of God. You said that it maintains a hierarchy of goodness, so there's not a problem in my ethical structure, but he's destroying the hierarchy of being. I think he's about where God is in as far as metaphysics is concerned, really there.
You see, God, like every other being, is a being. But God is not the totality of being. God is not being itself. He is a being, and the creator of other beings. Let's say that God is different in essence, even though there is a middle being. God is all powerful. God is perfectly good. So on and so forth. So what you have in that sense is it's not as systematically and detailed a metaphysical picture as Thomas is, but it is in another sense. Because every individual has its own identity, is known directly by God, it has its own worth, purpose. Yeah. But God is a being, supreme, quality. And so when you say that God exists, you're using the word exist in exactly the same sense as when you say that they exist. And when you say God is good, you're certainly using it in exactly the same sense when you say they exist.
When you're talking about personal, is that saying that God, because he knows individuals, has knowledge outside of his own mind?
Yes.
Right, I'm not sure why, if he created those individuals, why would he knowledge outside of his own mind? Why that would be included in his
the phrase knowledge outside the divine mind is confusing. I don't know about my phrase. If God knows it, then he knows something in his mind. But in his mind, he knows about something that's outside. Don't you? I mean, in your mind now, you're thinking about what I just said. What I'm saying is outside your mind. Now, the question is whether you know what is outside your mind directly, or only through the immediacy of ideas. You see, according to Aristotle, we know things through the intellectual species abstracted from the sensible species. That's to say, through our ideas. In the Platonic tradition, God would know things only through the archetypal ideas. Well, the question is, do we just have ideas and then try to infer that something particular exists to correspond to it? Do we have direct beliefs? As they are. And what Thomas is asserting is that the mind, God's mind, human mind, the very nature of mentality, the mind is able, as it were, to extend its mental grasp to see the father. Now, visually, that's, I might say, easy. I might say I have my eyes on something like that. My eyes on. No, my idea. But you see, in sense experience, I'm able to give attention to something way over there. What? And the same is true with other senses beside the eyes, but the eyes are most clearly here. You do it with your ears now. What's that sound? You see, you try to get a direction from it. Because you're trying to identify directly that which is out there. But this act of external reference, intentionality means a mental thought, act of being. That's what I mean. Also.
Is that saying that God can have your perpetual choices with individuals in his mind?
No, I don't think it's saying that God doesn't. But he doesn't show it. That's to say, God can think of the essence of humanness, the species. But he can also think particularly of Christian point here. Which I suspect you find rather correct.
It seems as if he created those individuals, then those are responsibilities.
He's not saying that. But there's a difference between there being in your mind and not being able to contemplate anything other. That's to say, you have several alternatives. One, you have the mind contemplating the archetype within the mind. You have the mind contemplating the archetype and referring to then some particular out there. Or alternatively, you have the mind that contemplates the archetype, that contemplates the particular, and does that referring back to the archetype. So what you have is this immediate thought. You've got this intentional awareness, and in terms of one of the people who developed this in the 20th century was George Santayana, who taught Harvard in the 20s. But Santayana made the distinction this way between perception in the mode of causal efficacy, and I simply cause to have a sense stimulus, and causation in the mode of presentation or realism, when the mind was complex and complex. Now what's involved in causal efficacy? He's talking of human perception. What's involved in causal efficacy is a stimulus-response mechanism between the object and the consciousness, stimulating the consciousness, which therefore reflects back in an act of reference, such as things. And only when that is accomplished, as a general rule, do we start asking ourselves, now what is this object? And then the idea of presentation or realism. Is it a man or is it a body? That's why you wake up in the night and say, oh, you mistakenly conceive what that external object is, whose existence you are immediately out of that. So this is what it is. We think of particulars in terms of our ideas. God thinks of them in terms of his archetype of ideas. He thinks of them, not just of the archetype.
I'm still arguing on the difference between human intellectualism and voluntarism.
Yeah.
What's the difference between
the thing is that Scotus reads Aquinas as saying that because the intellect perceives X to be good, it therefore naturally, really necessarily, seeks that good X. There's no choice. There's a number of places where even Aquinas seems to be saying, yes, the intellect determines what we seek, the will determines how we seek, by what means. Well, Scotus wants will as the determinative of critical intelligence in these places. Is this a misreading of Aquinas? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But remember, before printing press, it's very easy to misread. And you have read. But I may not be fortunate enough to hear Paul get hold of it. Thanks. Alright, now I will make some comments about William of Ockham before we're through. And perhaps we'll come back to this on Friday if we need to. But the thing that I want to emphasise here is plainly his determinism. The critique of realism extends from Scotus, and we'll come back to that. But William of Ockham, in his rejection of real universals, develops a kind of nominalist position. It's best known as determinism to avoid confusion with the nominalism of Russell, who we mentioned earlier when we were introducing the problem of universals. Russell had simply maintained that only words have anything universal about them. Words have universal reference. The word dog refers to the whole species of dogs, and every individual canine specimen. Only words have anything universal. There are no real universals. There are no universal concepts like dog, bird, dogness. There are just words that have universal reference to all classes. And that's as far as Russell went, and he only went that far because he was embroiled in a metaphysical dispute. What is the reality that is universal? None. No things, no concepts, only words, and really they are particular words of universal reference. Now, when it comes to William of Ockham, he lays emphasis on words, terms, yes. But his interest is less on the metaphysical question and more on logical questions. Logical questions because of those problems with Aristotle's logic, which Scotus mentioned. But in the determinism of Ockham, you see, the term somehow or other extends for a whole variety of individuals. How can that be? How can one word have universal reference? Well, you'll find in the reading that our editor distinguishes between two views. Ockham's first view and Ockham's second. Ockham's first view is that the term that has universal reference, the term brings with it an image, a particular mental image, which is our mental picture indiscriminately of the whole class of individuals. So if we're talking of the term human, then that term refers without any differentiating qualities to our mental picture of all individuals. It's going to be a very, very, very thing. Not much more of it.